Good morning. If you were around for the 1980s, and if, like us, you were teenagers in the 1980s, that voice is unmistakable.
Yeah, as Aretha just said, it is a huge loss. That is our big story this morning, a shock to the music world. Singer George Michael, dead at the age of 53. This is a live look outside the pop superstar's London home. You can see fans showing their support for the music legend, even leaving flowers right there at his home.
And online, the celebrity tributes have been pouring in overnight. Liza Minnelli posting that George Michael was a musical genius, and I am so grateful to have known him. Ellen DeGeneres calling her friend a brilliant talent. And Sir Elton John posting on Instagram, I am in deep shock. I have lost a beloved friend, the kindest, most generous soul, and a brilliant artist.
Indeed, a brilliant artist. His publicist confirming the news late on Christmas Day. He passed away peacefully in his sleep. The pop star being remembered as a wildly successful artist with more than 30 years in the spotlight. And TJ Holmes is here now with the very latest on this story. Good morning, TJ.
Hey, good morning, Paul. You mentioned that publicist statement, and that statement specifically had a line that said George Michael had not been ill. Yet on Christmas Day, fans around the world get the news that at 53, he had passed away. This man was a force in music, the likes of which we may never see again, not just because of the 100 million albums sold, not just because he was able to blend R&B, soul, pop, and rock, but also he pushed boundaries when it came to sexuality and being a musician and what it meant to be a pop star.
No matter who you are or where you grew up, that sound of George Michael is unmistakable.
Wake me up before you go, 'cause I'm not planning on going solo.
As one half of the 80s British pop sensation Wham, Michael woke up a new generation of music lovers.
What do you listen to at home?
I listen to a lot of pop, American and English, a lot of old Tamla I like, but basically just anything you can dance to.
The pop superstar died of heart failure Sunday at the age of 53. His publicist tells ABC News Michael passed away peacefully at home over the Christmas period. His career ran the musical gamut, from upbeat dance hits to down-tempo soulful ballads.
I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
And that iconic voice was also behind this holiday classic.
I'll give it to someone.
But the chart topper
Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body.
left an even deeper musical imprint with his breakout solo career in the 90s, which gave us all a little faith.
'Cause I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith.
But those years were marked by public victories and struggles. Michael made strides after coming out as gay in the 90s, lending his powerful voice to the fight against AIDS. But he also battled his own demons, with arrests for lewd behavior and drug possession.
I just want to start again.
And in 2011, a battle with pneumonia nearly cost him his life. But as for his career, the numbers speak for themselves. Over 100 million records sold in a career that spanned 3 decades, with one constant. He was a heartthrob.
Well, what is it about me that women seem to ignore the fact that I'm gay? I think women really get the feeling that I understand them. And I write from the heart.
This morning, millions of friends, fans, and collaborators are paying tribute to the icon.
Kept my faith. I know you did. Kept my faith.
Like the queen of soul herself, Aretha Franklin, whose duet with Michael won them a Grammy.
He was on the money. She made such a tremendous contribution musically. It's a huge loss.
You give people music for years and years when you write. You tie yourself to big events in their lives. You tie yourself to their childhood and their growing up, and it's a real privilege.
I will be the one who loves you till the end of time.
And of course, as you can imagine, countless tributes been coming in. Of course, social media, we get them instantly. Madonna was just one of many that put one out. We'll put hers up. But she certainly made reference to her friend here, George Michael, but also at the end of her message, we don't have her tweet for you, but at the end of it, she made reference to 2016 go away. We get celebrity deaths every year, but huge, iconic, historical figures, it seems, have been dying this year, from David Bowie, even Gene Wilder. I talk about Muhammad Ali. All these figures, so here it is, 2016, another legend, an icon that's gone now.
And just watching your story, just a flood of nostalgia for me. I mean, and he was so aware of how his work did play such a huge role in people's lives.
And he was one who was interesting, who could blend. He had R&B hits, folks, and people don't remember that. He was a pop star, a rock star. He was a true talent in that way. And again, he pushed those boundaries. It wasn't just the music. It wasn't just the album sold. But he started talking about sexuality and things that other musicians, today it doesn't seem like maybe a big deal, but at the time, this was huge what he was doing.
He weaved in really important narratives in the conversation as well and started those important conversations. TJ, we'll see you a little bit.
You got it. See you shortly.
And People Magazine executive editor Kate Coyne and ABC's senior medical contributor Dr. Jen Ashton are joining us now. And ladies, thank you for joining us. Jen, let's start with you. George Michael's manager is saying that he died of heart failure. Now, the police aren't saying that, but they are ruling out anything suspicious. So how do we decipher this? What does it mean?
So there's some big medical clues here, Paula. You know, some things are not really adding up. On a death certificate, doctors will often put cardiac arrest as the final event because that is the last event before someone dies. But to say heart failure has a very specific meaning in the medical world, and that would not be, as they're saying, unexplained. And it really wouldn't be the cause for doing an autopsy because people with heart failure, when they do die, typically have symptoms, shortness of breath, fluid buildup in the lungs, and they are usually hospitalized for those symptoms. So people rarely will die out of the blue suddenly of heart failure. So I think this is an example of a lay term, just the heart stopped, being thrown out there by his manager, but medically there's a very different meaning. I think it would be more appropriate possibly at this point to say sudden cardiac death. But again, the reason they're saying it's unexplained and doing an autopsy is because I don't think they know.
Kate, you've covered George Michael for years. You know, how would you describe his impact on pop music and the culture?
Oh, I think it really cannot be understated. Tremendous, tremendous impact. I mean, you know, you talk about 2016 and the losses. You know, Prince is obviously another huge one that comes to mind. But unlike Prince, George Michael wasn't somebody who played around with gender roles, with androgyny. I mean, he was a heartthrob during the peak of his success, a heterosexual heartthrob who then had to transform his career when he was essentially outed and had to remake what he meant to people and did so flawlessly. I mean, he was the number of songs, which bear in mind, did not have a hit factory behind them. He wrote these songs himself. He was a composer. He was a true musician and just a tremendous talent.
Yeah, it was once written about him that his music was often confessional in tone. He said that he got into music, his start, because I wanted to be loved. He was loved and he is loved. Kate, Jen, thank you for joining us. We'll see you a little bit later in the show. Jen.